So I had someone just ask me about Michael Jackson and what his numbers were like. And I know that I looked at them like a long time ago, but I don't really remember it because I kind of like every time I do a reading or look at a chart, I always kind of like detach right after. So I don't really remember the things that happened, or that I saw or whatever a lot of times. Anyway, what I remember from the first time that I looked at his chart was that I remember thinking he didn't do all the things that people thought he did. He wasn't the bad man that everybody thought. And now that I'm looking at his chart again, I just wrote it out and I went, oh my goodness, like he really does not appear to be this really bad person that everybody thinks that he was. Not that I ever thought that, because I will say that I grew up obviously listening to his music and I thought like I just never saw that in him, not that not that you really know celebrities or anything, just that he never gave me that vibe anyway. I always thought it was weird that people would say things like that about him because it didn't make sense to me. But then he was very secretive, and that shows right in his chart. He's definitely introverted. He definitely does have a secretive side. He has like a part of him that he did not tell people, but that was like more of like a protection thing. He kind of had his own demons that he was facing. It was kind of like he definitely struggled with drugs or alcohol and some kind of like misuse of, you know, materialism and vanity, and then also some kind of drugs, alcohol, something, along those lines. Definitely he struggled with that. He is the conqueror of the dragon, so he's a protector. It shows up in a unique way for him. It's in the physical, which is not typically how it shows up. It can show up there, but I don't see it there a lot. This means that he's a physical fighter. It means that he's going to use his physical existence to fight something, And as we know, obviously, he fought a lot of things. He fought a lot of causes. I feel he stood up for children. I don't feel that he was a predator of children, but that's just my opinion. And based on his chart, that really confirms that opinion for me because he definitely is a protector rather than a herder. He's not somebody that would want to cause abuse. He's someone who actually experienced a lot of abuse himself. And in his chart, he's got a lot of trauma. He's got a lot of like unresolved wounds. He's got a lot of like people pleasing. He's the humanitarian and he really wants to take care of people. And then he's the nurturer and he really wants people to be okay and he wants to teach them a better way and things like that. He's got all of that. Then he's also, it's very interesting, he's got the invisibility cloak, and that means that he can go invisible in plain sight. So he's somebody who can just like be in a room or be at a party or be anywhere and be like, I don't want to be here, and then nobody will see him and he can just kind of like duck out, or he could be in the room and you just wouldn't see him because he has a way of making his energy disappear, like making his whole being disappear in a way. It's interesting, and unless you know someone that has the invisibility cloak, it's a little bit hard to understand how they do this. Not that I actually understand how they do this, but I do have two daughters that do this, and I've seen them do it. I've seen them be in a room and like they're very lively at one point and then they just disappear even though they're still there. So anyway, so he has that. He has a very strong business sense. He doesn't have any. Okay, it's not that he doesn't have any. He doesn't have a lot of direction on his own, so he would have relied on other people to guide him and help him and kind of like steer him the right way. But then he did have a lot of psychic abilities. So he had a lot of like, I see the future kind of thing. And he could always see the future. He could always see like what could be. And I think that was a lot of how he operated. It was like more like his connection to what could be is kind of like what steered him a lot of the time. And then he also must have had background people that were helping him all the time as well. Like If you look at his childhood, that part of his career, you can see that he wasn't in charge of anything in his own life. As he got older, he did take the reins of his own life, but I feel like there were a lot of kind of like there must have been a lot of people around him that were actually guiding his path, because he wasn't really good at that by himself. He was good at showing up and being the performer and being the thing that he needed to be, but then immediately he would duck out again and be like, invisible, and not allow a lot of people inside his world. He didn't really want that. Now, something that's interesting about him is that he is someone who has he's someone who has trouble being in the present. He was very much in the past or in the future. He had a really hard time being in the present moment. So he would think about the past and have nostalgia for that, and then he would think about the future and have like wonder about that. And so he would be somebody that was very much future planning and then like past seeking. So like one of the things I know about him is that he was a collector of like, history type stuff and like unusual history and things like that. He also had a twisted kind of like interest. Like he was into like the more darker side of things. Oh, actually, like now that I think about it, like thriller and all that, that makes sense, because he has like a kind of a twisted um outlook. Like he doesn't really think that dark things are bad. He kind of looks at the darkness as like some kind of friend, like he's friends with the darkness. And thriller kind of paints that for me. Like as soon as I said it, it was like they showed it to me, like my guides. So yeah, that makes sense. And he also had like an obsessive nature, which I don't know if everyone knew that about him. I certainly didn't. He definitely would be like a dog with a bone. It's like he wanted something and he had to have it, and if he didn't have it, he would like give up everything else to get it, and he would just like go after things that he wanted, and it was almost like an obsession where he couldn't stop. So the things that he did fixate on, it was like he saw them all the way through and made sure that they happened. So like if he wanted something, he would get it. If he wanted to make something happen, it would happen. He also is somebody that needed nature. So like he wasn't like super like an activist, I don't think. Like it doesn't feel like that anyway. But he did need nature to bring him back to who he was. So there is an element of like, when I'm really spiraling, when I'm really not okay, and I'm really like kind of hiding away from the world, I need to be brought back into nature somehow. And that will remind me of who I am. And that's kind of like his reset in a way. Oops, sorry. um, and and so nature was something that was really kind of like his savior in a way. And I don't know what kind of nature. I don't know if I don't know. I don't really know much about like anything about that with him, like if he went into nature or not, if that was a known thing. He is a teacher and a guide, and he is somebody who is showing people. He was here to show people a better way, like show people what could be, not what is. And so he very much didn't live in this world with us. It was like he was um somebody who was here obviously physically, but his being, like his energy, was somewhere else. Like it was like he was either in the past or in the future, but he was always pulling from both places and kind of like, showing us a different way to live. He was also all about family, and everything that mattered to him was about family. So it's like his family was his biggest um his biggest gift, and his also what weighed him down the most. So like as I'm looking at this, I'm noticing that his family kind of made him want to hide, but then also his family made him want to blossom and bloom. And it's like he had both. He definitely had both. He has a lot of trauma. I see a lot of really unresolved things. And then he's got this, like, I'm trying to make everything balanced, and I'm trying to make all my relationships work, and I'm trying to always leave everything better than I found it, and I want everyone to feel good around me. And so he was all about like making everybody else happy, but he didn't really think about himself very much. And it looks like a lot of what he did was in service to the people around him and in service to even the world around him. It's like he was thinking on a bigger level than most people think, and he was doing everything from his heart, but he was very, very wounded. So it was like when it came to himself, he really had no voice about that. When it came to others, it was like he was the conqueror of the dragons. So he was someone who would lend his voice to others. He would stand up for causes and he would do the right thing. He was also very authentic to who he was. So, like, even though the world tried to change him, he would not let it. And he was very adamant about that. He was very adamant that I am going to be who I am, and if I can't be who I am, I'm going to hide and I'm going to disappear and I'm not going to be part of any of this. And that's kind of like his operation. And then all he ever sought was security. That's all he ever wanted, was to feel safe. He didn't feel safe. Like, you can tell he did not feel safe. The only thing that made him feel safe is maybe his family, partly. Maybe his family that he created later, like his children and things like that, made him feel safe because there is a security there that I see. But for the most part, he really wasn't of this world. He does not feel like he is of this world. He feels like a very ascended, not ascended soul, but like a very advanced soul, I should say. He sounds like somebody who, or sounds like, he feels like somebody who came here more evolved than most of us come, and had a higher understanding the whole time. And kind of like part of why he didn't participate in society the way that maybe people wanted him to is because he couldn't. Like, he couldn't agree with a system that he was very aware was upside down. So anyway, that is Michael Jackson. That is what his numbers look like to me. Um, you know, I always can kind of like go in and feel their energy of what it was like when they were alive. Um, you know, and I hope you like this. I hope it makes sense, and I hope you loved that I did this. So I will see you later. Bye.